So Jason Aldean, big country music star. I've heard of him only because he's so big. Just like I've heard of Garth Brooks, I don't listen to him. Luke Bryan, I don't listen to him. The
Drake.
Dixie Chicks, who had to become the Chicks or something like that.
Oh, I do vaguely remember that, right? Because Dixie is
Racism.
yes.
They pulled his video on the Country Music Channel or television, which apparently they just go by CMT anymore. It doesn't even stand for Country Music Television. They pulled his music video, and what do you think happened? It went to number one on iTunes. His music video went to number one on Billboard and iTunes. Billboard charts has him
Spotify.
on one. I don't know about Spotify.
Well,
He gets
doesn't it
on
have to get
YouTube
to the?
trending.
Doesn't it have to get right? Like, isn't Spotify like the main thing now? Doesn't it have to get to the top of the Spotify to get on Billboard? Like, isn't that where they?
No, Billboard's separate. Billboard is like digital sales and like all encompassing.
Yeah, but where did
Bryson
the?
got on Billboard, it took him a while, even though he was number one on all the apps. So I think
where do the sales come from though? Are we talking like
iTunes, Amazon? They have like digital album sales, I believe. Encapsulated. I don't know is the short answer, Eric.
Well, I guess my point is I thought that the Billboard charts reflected the top of the Spotify charts. That's what I thought, but I don't know how it works.
That would be quite the racket they've got going at Spotify. So some of his lyrics, and we'll watch a clip of it, but we'll have to cut it short. So that's why you need to get the Patreon version. Insert Patreon plug here, patreon.com/UOPod, because you will be able to watch it and not have to click elsewhere. But he says, sucker punch on someone on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at red light, pull a gun on an owner of a liquor store. You think that's cool? Well, act a fool if you'd like. Shout out Ludacris. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face. He's saying all this stuff as BLM and Antifa rioting from news clips. It's not like it's fabricated. Plays in the background. And the Country Music Television Network didn't even tell anybody why they took it down. Billboard asked them. I don't know how you get more mainstream than Billboard in terms of music. I can't even name something. MTV, I guess. And they didn't even give them the reason. So the video went up on Friday. They pulled it on Monday. All the articles came out on Tuesday. And by today, by like 1 p.m., he had gone to number one on everything. Steven Crowder's channel pointed it out. So he went to number one, beat out all these pop stars that I didn't know that existed. They're all from the same band. And I learned, Eric, that there's this thing in K-pop called subsections where they literally have a band and then they have a sub band which comprised an official like sub band of a group. So if there's 5 people in the main group, 3 people from that group make a subgroup, and then they have different kinds of subgroups where they can have like age limits and crap like that. So they've really also built a racket for themselves in the K-pop. He beat them, goes to number one on everything. Let's take a look at the video.
Wait. Before we get there, can we just make it clear that this stuff happens and this continues to happen because the bottom line or money is not the bottom line for these organizations anymore. Okay.
I would agree. But also the banning of it causes the Streisand effect where it then pushes it to number one.
I would have never heard of it if this hadn't happened.
Exactly.
Here comes a copyright strike.
Like Molotov.
Sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk. Carjacking old lady at a red light. Pull a gun on the.
So that's what it is. We can
cut
it out.
Can you play it without the music? All right, just for once, stop pretending. You're on the computer anyways. You always got your cell phone in your hand. So just take a quick moment, sign up to the Patreon, patreon.com/UOPod. You will not regret it. You're going to see us fly off the handle and say all the things that we can't say on YouTube lest we be kicked off and shunned from society. So sign up to the Patreon. Appreciate it. And that should be okay if we play without the music for a couple more seconds or what?
We can just truncate it, if you will, when we talk about it. But he was forced to defend himself, Eric, and what he said was something along the lines of, people have been saying that I made a song that's like audio lynching is one of the things somebody claimed about him. He made this tweet where he said, I've faced like a whole bunch of crap.
Oh yeah, like shooting up to straight to the top of the charts and selling more records than anybody. Is that what you
yeah.
faced? Okay, so
No, before that though, before it went to number one, when it got pulled. Hold on, I'm trying to find it.
You didn't write this one.
I wrote this one. There's not. He said that he had been accused of releasing a pro-lynching anthem. Last 24 hours, I've been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song, a song that has been out since May, and was subject to the comparison that I directly quote was not too pleased with the nationwide BLM protests. These references are not only meritless but dangerous. There's not a single lyric in the song that references race or points to it, and there isn't a single video clip that isn't real news footage. So he goes on to say that even though a lot of the stupid arguments against the song are meaningless, this one goes too far. And he literally just shows clips from the news, Eric, and then they say that's racist. How can this be?
Yeah, well, then look, they obviously have. They look. This is not new, bro. They're gonna show you what they want you to see. So there comes a point where the news has to show certain things, which is where we get the world famous, the world renowned, mostly peaceful protests. Right? It's like we can't fully ignore this, but we're gonna basically tell you to ignore your lying eyes, and it's mostly peaceful, right? So yeah, him showing the news, of course, can be racist. I mean, literally everything can be racist. I sent you a couple days ago. I don't know if you remember that weirdo extremist out in San Francisco who says that a freeway off ramp in San Francisco is racist because there's no stop sign, right? So anything can be racist. And at the top of that list, quite literally, is the news. The statistics of the crimes that are committed in the country and quite possibly in Canada as well. I don't know exactly who's committing your guys' crime up there. What's that about, eh? But the news and the statistics surround, or reflecting that news, are quite obviously the most racist, right? That's where we get the 13% crew and stuff like that. And I can say it because I'm black, but that's quite obviously like the number one top thing is the news. Donald Trump is in the news. He's the number one racist thing because he said, remember, I mean, you could pull from a laundry list of things, but the one that comes to my mind right now for whatever reason is when he said that Baltimore was rat infested, and that was racist. And you had a little milk dud looking bald headed black guy on CNN crying about it because Donald Trump said that Baltimore was rat infested, and then the clip of the black mayor who was later indicted for some sort of tax fraud, some sort of scheme. Fact check me on that, but she did face minor little consequences, slap on the wrist for some sort of scam that she was running. A black woman who said years before Trump that you could smell the rats. It's gross. It's infested. Like, she literally said that. So, all that said, yes, quite easily, news is racist.
You will be happy to know, Eric, that in this beautiful country of Canada, we go against the grain and we do not record race for crimes, okay? We don't want any one race, whether it's Native Canadian, whether it's transgender, Black, Latinos. We don't want anyone to be singled out for the crimes that they commit. We don't want to know. We don't want to know who committed a crime. We don't want to be able to find the person who committed a crime. We don't
who brought the cocaine into the White House?
We don't want to find out who brought any cocaine into any White Houses. The fact that there is even a White House that exists is racist, and we will not be naming any houses in this country after non-persons of color. The fact that it's white and that's not even a color is too far. And it's in and of itself. So we don't even know who our terrorists are. They don't even tell us what the terrorist names are unless they're an incel, which has happened. And if we're talking about regular crimes, there's just no need to know, Eric. There's no need to know that it was a Jamaican guy. There's no need to know that it was an Indian immigrant who ran over a bus full of hockey players in Alberta. Nobody needs to know who committed any crimes in Canada because we're above that.
Yeah, well, they did the same thing in San Francisco. Do you remember that story? When crimes were happening on BART, which is like, their metro system, And
Why
the
is it called BART?
Bay Area Rapid Transit.
Should be BORT.
Fair enough. Shout out Bort. That's an absolute classic clip.
My son is also named Bort.
There was a story. Well, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago, where they weren't going to be releasing the statistics and the mugshots of the people who were committing crime on BART because it may lead to prejudice, right? So think about that. Think about them telling you why they're not doing it, right? And not, well, they understand, right? They know they're not. Well, yes, they are incompetent, but they're not stupid. They're manipulative. So we know who's committing this crime, and we are choosing not to tell you because we don't want you to think that these people will commit crime. But, good luck walking from and I know this from experience. I lived to tell the tale, so it wasn't that bad. But I promise you, and this is part of the reason that the Oakland A's and the Golden State Warriors and the Oakland Raiders left Oakland, because I used to live at the Coliseum BART station. For, shout out all my Bay Area people, the Coliseum BART station. And I promise you, if you get off that BART train at 9 p.m. and say you got to the BART station at 7:30 a.m., there's a couple more spots left all the way at the back of the parking lot before it fills up. And that walk that you have to take when you return and it's dark and you have to get from the BART station to your car at the back of the parking lot is incredibly nerve-wracking. I promise you that. And there's also stories about people obviously not making it from the station to their car, but that's a different story. But we are not going to share with you the perpetrators of those crimes because it might lead you to believe that there's a certain group of people who are more likely to commit those crimes than other people. And as long as I'm on this incredibly racist tangent, okay, I have to mention, you guys see I'm in this very high-class Airbnb, and the neighbors out front, who are gone now, were incredibly rude. They left a mess of garbage. They parked in my parking spot, and were incredibly disrespectful when I asked them to just move so I could park in the spot that had been allotted to me, while the earlier guests were very nice, and we had small talk while they were emptying their car of their luggage. And I will let you guess for yourself who's who.
They're all gay. Smart doorbell cameras can lead to racial profiling, Eric. If you didn't know, this is also from Canada's CBC.
I love them.
Activists fear that surveillance technologies are used to monitor and contain minorities. And we're not watching the video. I just like this line. It says, by embracing these technologies, are the police protecting everyone or just the wealthy? Because they're responding to people saying they're spotting crime in their neighborhood. Even though it admits that they're able to predict crimes happening. What a country to live in. Forget, people being Amazon, who owns Ring, being able to tap into your doorbell. Forget that angle. How about the angle where you're not allowed to know who's on your front porch because you might hurt their feelings? That's a better angle.
Turn it up, Jordan.